So this video is going to be a detailed review of the Nothing Phone 3A after using it for a little more than 3 weeks, and by the end of this video you'll get an understanding of whether you should buy the smartphone or not, and at the end I'll also talk about whether you should consider the 3A Pro, because for the price of the 3A Pro there are much better smartphones that I have tested and have actually been testing. So let's get started. Now straight up, let me tell you one thing, this smartphone definitely doesn't have a lot of bad things. In fact, there are not bad things, there are kind of okay stuff, but really nothing that bad. So let's start off with all the good stuff. So first up, the display here is a beautiful 6.67-inch AMOLED display that has great colors, it has good viewing angles, so watching content on this is a delight, and even playing games has been really good because of the 120Hz display on this smartphone. Now of course it doesn't go all the way down up to 1 Hertz, but still this here is a really good display. So you'll basically enjoy consuming media on this. Next up, performance. Now remember, the smartphone is a 23,000 rupees smartphone, that is with bank offers, and with that in mind, this smartphone comes with a Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, and for that price I think this here is a really good processor. Now everyday use is buttery smooth on this smartphone, and that is a huge thanks to the optimization that Nothing has done with the Nothing OS. So this hardware and the Nothing OS optimization definitely gives you a really smooth, buttery smooth experience, and that combined with the 120Hz display, you are definitely going to be getting a really nice everyday user experience. The UI, the animations, everything is smooth. Now I did make an in-depth gaming review, so make sure you watch that, but just to give a brief summary, now if you are someone who enjoys BGMI, you can actually play that game at 90 FPS, but you have to keep the graphic settings at smooth and the frame rate at the max possible. But don't expect to play all these big games at the max settings and get high frame rates. That's not going to happen. If you want high frame rates, you'll have to reduce the graphic settings, but it is playable. Of course it is not the smoothest gaming experience, but still you can play. And the 7S Gen 3 in this smartphone is definitely stable, it doesn't overheat or anything, so I'm very happy with its performance. So when it comes to performance, this here is a smartphone with a really buttery smooth everyday user experience. You can of course game, but of course not at the highest settings, and the UI, the updates that it gets actually refines the performance a lot. And the best part, this has no ads, so this here is one of my favorite smartphone skins right now. Next up, the camera. So I actually am really happy with the way the camera has been tuned on Nothing Phone 3A. Now previously I used the Poco X7 Pro. Now coming from that, this here is a huge shift when it comes to the camera, be it the primary, be it the ultra wide, be it the telephoto, even the front facing camera. These are really good. The dynamic range is amazing. The skin tones are actually nearly accurate, like they are nearly accurate. The colors are on point. They are a tad bit saturated, like tad bit, but that is actually pleasing to the eye. If you don't want that, of course you can reduce the saturation, but yeah, they are a tad bit saturated, which actually gives it a really nice look. Now the telephoto camera is also very good on this. Of course, like the Nothing Phone 3A Pro, this doesn't have that extra long zoom range, but for what it is, I think this here is a pretty good telephoto camera. Now when it comes to ultra wide, it's definitely not going to get any victories or in any competition, but this here is decent. The output is good. Of course it's not that crazy sharp and all, but it is usable and I kind of like it. And again, coming from the Poco X7 Pro, this here is a way better upgrade when it comes to the ultra wide camera. Now the front facing camera is really good. The pictures turn out really great. Even in portrait mode, it is really good. The edge detection is pretty nice, and I actually like the skin tones, and the overall output is good. Now this 32 megapixel camera definitely gives a much more detailed output, so if you are a selfie lover, you will definitely enjoy this camera. Now the only gripe I have is that at the back you get only 4K 30 FPS support. Of course, I know it is a limitation of the chipset and things like that. If you're someone who loves shooting at 60 FPS at 4K, then you can't do that. And the front facing camera is limited to only 1080p 30 FPS, and that is kind of a bummer. But the overall camera performance is very good. I would give it a solid 7.5 or 8 because that's how good it is. The final output is amazing. I really love the way nothing has tuned the smartphone. Of course, there were some bugs when I initially got the smartphone, but I got 2 updates after that and all those bugs have been solved. So great work, nothing. Next up, battery life. Now, this has a 5000 mAh battery. Now, to be honest, I've been using this, the iQOO Neo 10R, and before this, the Poco X7 Pro. Both have like 6400 and 6550 mAh batteries. And when comparing the Nothing Phone 3A with these two smartphones, battery life is like a joke, but don't worry about that because the Nothing Phone 3A still is an entire 1-day battery champ, because at the end of the day, like at the end of a full working day, say you browse the internet, you use social media, play a little games, use it to watch videos and things like that, and after doing all that, you can comfortably end the day like at say 10 o'clock or something like that with 30% or 25% battery left. So this is still a 1-day battery smartphone, and you need not worry about that because the optimization is really good on the smartphone. So when it comes to battery life, it is still good. Of course, not as good as the other big boys having big batteries. Now those come for 1.5, sometimes even 2 days. So it's not going to be like that, but this here is still good, and the standby time is amazing. Next up, I love the speakers on the smartphone. So here you get stereo speakers and the sound output is great. Not only is it loud, but it has really good clarity and definition, and that is amazing because it's little light on the bass, and of course this is a smartphone, you can't expect boom 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 bass here, but it is still good. So I listened to a lot of music on this, and I have to say I enjoyed it. Despite it being loud, it doesn't have any sort of distortion at the max volume, so I really love the speaker. Now, I really like the design. So it is a very subjective topic. If you don't like it, definitely let me know in the comments. But I do love the way the smartphone looks from the back. I actually love this much better than the Nothing Phone 2A because this here is like really nice looking. So, and especially with the blue I have here, this here is a pretty good looking smartphone that can sometimes turn a few heads around. Finally, the quality, the Wi-Fi reception, all has been really amazing. I have no issues with that, so that's good. And with that said, these are the really good things about the smartphone, and especially for the price, this here has some really great stuff in it. But there are some things that could have been better, so let me just talk about them. Now, these are not like bad and all, but just wish these features could have been better utilized. So let's talk about those. First one is the essential key. Trust me, after just using it for like 1 hour or so, I really didn't like it. I mean, I really didn't find any purpose for it, and the worst part was that this here is a button which has been placed wrong. So instead of pressing the power button, I kept pressing this accidentally a lot, which annoyed me. Yeah, I think this here is a good idea, but there is definitely certain things missing. So nothing could have allowed the users to map this button to a lot of other things rather than only taking notes or voice notes, because I really don't do that a lot. I mean, your use case might vary. So I really think this button has some really good potential that has been locked away. I really hope nothing opens it up a lot, because right now I really don't use it and I find it pointless, and especially the location of this is horrible, especially when you mount it on the car. This keeps getting triggered because of its position and I hate it. So nothing, please start making use of this for a lot of other useful stuff. Next up, I did say the design is good, but despite the design being good, the in-hand feel is not exactly what I call it comfortable. I really wish the back sides were a little curved for it to sit more comfortably in the hand, and the smartphone is wide. It is a wide smartphone. So let me just show you. So here we have the iQOO Neo 10R and here we have the Nothing Phone 3A, and as you can see here, when I keep it like this, the iQOO Neo 10R is less wide than the Nothing Phone 3A, and it is much more comfortable to hold in hand than this, because this feels very wide, and yeah, using this for a longer period of time isn't exactly comfortable. So I really wish Nothing would shrink the width so that it fits better in your palms. Finally, this is only USB 2.0, but at this price I'm really not going to complain. So if you're someone who actually uses the cable to transfer a lot of files, it is going to be slow, yeah, but it is what it is. They have to cut corners somewhere, but yeah. And finally, I just wish the buttons, the side buttons, the volume and the power button, were a little more tactile. This is just personal preference. I like a little more tactility in my keys. It's not that tactile, and these feel a little cheap, but that it's good. And with that said, these are the really good things and the things that need to be improved on the Nothing Phone 3A. Should you buy the smartphone or not? Now, with all the bank offers, you can get it for 23,000 rupees, and for that price, let me tell you, this here is an amazing smartphone. Now, if you want a smartphone with really good performance, like lag-free performance, a really smooth user experience, ad-free experience, and a smartphone that gets regular updates that genuinely improve your user experience, so a company that listens to its users, then you should consider this. If you want a smartphone with really good cameras but without overspending, then you can consider this. Now, even with the 5000 mAh battery here, this smartphone is still a one-day battery champ, and I think that is great. So this smartphone doesn't do any one thing better, but rather it has a very balanced mix of everything, which makes it a great value for money. Especially for 23,000 this year is an amazing value for money. So if you want a smartphone that does everything well, good user experience, no ads, good cameras, good battery life, and definitely a unique design, then you should definitely consider the Nothing Phone 3A. And for the Nothing Phone 3A Pro, I think you should skip that smartphone just because it has slightly better camera. I really don't think you should spend that extra 5,000 on that, because for that price you have other better smartphones like this, the iQOO Neo 10R, and the camera is also good here, so I'm not going to complain. So this here is going to be a much better value when compared to the Nothing Phone 3A Pro. So the Nothing Phone 3A is really good value, whereas the Nothing Phone 3A Pro is not that good of a value when compared to smartphones like this. So if I have left out anything in this and you have some questions around that, definitely let me know in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. And with that said, thanks for watching, and this here is Suman signing off once again. Catch you later.